Crash here. Welcome to our Power Pack Tuesday evenings. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to hop on, and while you do that, I will get my comments set up. I'm excited to announce that this week I have power and Wi-Fi. Man, you wouldn't believe how awesome it is to have power and Wi-Fi. Let's go. We'll just give you guys, if you're hopping on, I see some of you guys hopping on, go ahead, please comment in the chat box with where you are or who you are, or at least just say hi so I know you're there. But I can see that there's a few of you guys watching already. Good morning, ES from Blue Mountains, Australia. Good morning, good morning. Sweet. I wonder if I can click to expand. Alright. There we go. See some more of you guys watching. Comment in the chat box. If a couple of you guys could just comment really quick, that allows me to know if my comments are, sorry, I'm so itchy, are up to speed. I just got a new tattoo, and it's so itchy. Hey, Dillo! North Dakota! Woo woo! I'm excited for today. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to do some good stuff. We have the 6 ways to level up your laterals and smash that jammer. I'm very excited about it. So perfect. We are at 5:34. We are going to get this party started. If you are watching the recording right now, in the future time, please comment along so that I know that you're on. Comment right now and tell me that you're here. That way I know to follow up with you and make sure that you got everything that you needed out of this and more. So here we go. We're just going to dive into it. Really quick, for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Chrissy Crash. Welcome to the 6 ways to level up your laterals to stop the jammer, win more games. I have been playing roller derby since 2006. I have played bank track, I have played flat track, I have played in WFTDA champs, I have played at RollerCon scrimmages, I have played all over the world. Currently, I play down here in Costa Rica. I moved to Costa Rica accidentally in 2020. And so now I'm playing down here. We are in the process of training for a tournament in Colombia. So anyone that's going to the Colombia tournament, woo, woo, woo. So excited to see you there. I see all the hearts going in the corner there. Hey, Alessandra, welcome from Brazil. Am I going to see you in Colombia? Will you guys be there? I'm so excited. So let's dive right into it. So these are the 6 ways, you know, as a blocker, primarily, roller derby evolved a lot over the last 15 years, and it has become, you know, I remember when roller derby was a very fast sport, and it has become a lot slower of a sport. It might be the only kind of roller derby that you know, but the game very much now relies on us as blockers to be able to be lateral movers, right? We have to be able to move side to side on the track, because the reality is the speed at which we are moving forward is often less fast than the speed at which we're moving side to side. And so some of these are going to be physical, some of these are going to be mental, but these are my basically like top 6 ways that you can focus on leveling up your laterals. So number 1 is tracking the jammer. Okay, it's important that you know where the jammer is in order to be able to block said jammer. Okay. Now, one of the ways that I have really personally focused on this is through using my peripheral vision. I think a lot of times we feel like we have to visually see where the jammer is in order to be able to block the jammer. Okay. However, there are plenty of times where you may not know, like you can't see the jammer to confirm that the jammer's over here, but you know that they're over here because they're not over here anymore. Right? And so, for example, I used to call this psychic blocking, but this was something that I used over and over that really helped me elevate my lateral movements to block jammers off the track. Okay? So what I would do is I would stand on the line with maybe about this much space. So here's the line, I have this much space, and I'm going to stand over here. Okay, so I've got about a foot's worth of space in case you guys are listening to the podcast version of this. I've got a foot and a half worth of space. It's just enough space for the jammer to hang themselves with, is what I call it. It looks like a yummy hole, but I know it's there. And what I do is if that hole is on my left, I'm looking over my right shoulder. And I'm using that peripheral vision in my right eye. Because I know that the second that I see that jammer disappear into nothingness on my left side, I know that that jammer is in the exact spot for me to then step laterally and take them off the track. Okay? So having that ability to track the jammer and know where the jammer is without it simply, like, without having to see the jammer to move towards the jammer. This is just one example. Psychic blocking is just one example of how to do it. But one thing that you want to get comfortable with is being able to look in one direction, track the jammer out of your peripheral vision, while then also simultaneously moving in the opposite direction. Okay, this is something that you can practice at practice. Similarly, another way of tracking the jammer that you have to be careful when you're doing it that you're keeping your chest up, but for example, if I'm a middle blocker in a wall, and I want to work on figuring out like which way I need to move laterally with the jammer, I can look over the eye and I can use that peripheral vision. Another one is if you kind of just take a peek down between your feet, a lot of times you can see the jammer's feet underneath you. So if you take a little peek down and notice the jammer's going left, it allows you to confidently move in that direction. Okay? So these are two ways that you can use to track the jammer in order to then confidently move in the direction that the jammer is going. Okay? So give me a thumbs up if this is super helpful. If you're like, oh my god, I never thought about it that way. I thought I had to like look at the jammer and know where the jammer was instead of using my psychic abilities. You can use your psychic jammer abilities. I mean your psychic blocker abilities. It's the greatest thing. People are going to be like, how'd you do that? And you'll be like, I'm just magical. So number 2 is strength and conditioning. Okay? If you want to level up your laterals to stop jammers, your body has to be in tip-top shape. Primarily and especially really focusing on core work, I think is very, very important because in order to move quickly in any direction, being able to zip up through your middle, when I say core, I don't just mean your abs, right? I don't just mean like, do I have a six-pack? I mean everything from your adductors, aka your inner thighs, which when they squeeze together help to engage your core, all the way up through your mid-back, which again is part of that core strength. Okay, so a couple really great exercises that you can use to level up your laterals. Hang on, we're gonna do a little location change so I can give you guys some of this stuff. 3 exercises that I want you to add into your workouts. Okay, body weight crossover step-ups is the first one. Bulgarian split squats is the next one. And then body weight lunges in multilateral directions. So hopefully we're going to be able to see this okay. Okay, so first thing first is going to be a body-weighted crossover step-up. Now what this looks like is you want to find some kind of a bench, something that you can use. And instead of just doing a step-up this way, which you can do, step-ups like this, I want you to do crossover step-ups. Crossover, step up. Cross down, step down. What you're doing is you're really... You're really strengthening your core in the process, and you're really requiring yourself to use some very complicated movements. But what we're doing is we're getting our core strong, and we're getting that single leg movement strong so that when we are moving side to side, we've got enough zipped up core strength that we can move without like moving laterally and then going, whoa, like off balance. I want you to be able to move laterally and stick it. And so things like this are super helpful. The second one is Bulgarian split squats, okay? So Bulgarian split squat basically looks like this. 1 foot out in front, 1 foot back. You can hold a weight in your hand if you want to. If not, just simply down, up, down, up. Again, really focusing on that single leg movement of really getting into that glute too, whereas if you had to move laterally and stop, this glute is going to be the primary thing holding you there. Okay? Let me double check and make sure this is working. Sweet.
And the last one is multi-directional lunges, okay? Because roller derby does not just happen in forward motion. Roller derby happens in all kinds of different directions, right? Like laterally. So I want you to think about doing multi-directional lunges where we're going sideways, out at a 90, out in front, and then you can cross it back over, and then other sides. You can go front, out to the side without the dog bed, side lunge. I have a wall in my way, but take it back, okay? So doing multilateral lunges is going to allow you to not just have lateral movement side to side, but if you have to move in a forward diagonal, these are going to help you, again, single leg strength, core strength, zipped up, all at the same time. Number 4, I'm going to do all the workout ones at the same time. This is number 4, but we're on number 3, so we'll call it number 3. Number 3 is hip mobility. If you want to move laterally and effectively on the track, oftentimes that involves you moving your foot side to side so you can slide on your skates, slide. But if you don't have that hip mobility, your foot may be pointed like this and you can only go this direction. So 2 great things to work on. Number 1 is called the goddess squat. So feet wider than hip width distance apart, toes pointed out, pressing the knees apart, coming down into a squat. You should feel a stretch in your legs and it should be challenging. You can also, if you want to get the full goddess in, put the arms up here. From this position, hold it. You can also do some squats, okay? What we're doing is we're really stretching, opening, and strengthening the body's ability to hold your feet out at that angle. And then the second one, another lovely yoga move, it's called the malasana squat. So feet hip width distance apart, toes pointed out. You can kind of wiggle side to side to get into it. You want to get your chest up. Elbows are pressing into the knees to press them apart. And just breathe. Big deep breaths. You should feel this opening right here in the hips. I spend a couple of minutes in this every morning, kind of rocking side to side. If you want to get fancy, you can like drop a knee, but really just staying here for a while. I like to go hang out with my dog on the beach and I just like sit there like this. All right. So, adding those things in on a daily basis or inside of all of your workouts pre-practice is very helpful. The next physical one is quick feet. I actually have a podcast coming out on Thursday about quick feet. So instead of redoing all of those for you right now, listen to the podcast on Thursday. It's the Chrissy Crash podcast, wherever you find podcasts. I'll probably post the link to it on Thursday. If you're in the emails, I'll probably send you an email. But I go into a lot of quick feet, and a big piece of lateral drills is being able to have fast feet. So you can pull a lot of the stuff from there. So number 5, aka number 4, listen to my podcast because I have some really good stuff on there about quick feet. And then the next one, so we'll call this number 5, is communication. Okay? Doing it on your own is hard. It really is. It's challenging, right? Because if you're a one person trying to move laterally across a huge track, there's so much more of a chance that the jammer is going to get by you, okay? So doing it with a buddy is better, okay? You're going to cover more track when you have a buddy or 2 buddies. You have more eyes to work with. You can actually use your mouth to talk about it, you know, having someone jammer inside, jammer outside, jammer lane 1, jammer lane 2. There should be always someone in your pack that is communicating where the jammer is. Because if you're, let's say, maybe slightly in front of your buddies, and you're kind of near lane 1, and you hear someone go jammer lane 1, you can slide over and brace, trusting without using your eyeballs that the jammer is coming up. You don't have to look, find the jammer, and then move. You just go where your teammate tells you to go. Okay, so establishing communication within your team is huge. And then also so is having a buddy. You don't have to be a hero. You just have to be a buddy. So comment in the chat with be a buddy if you feel what I'm talking about. But again, if you think about it, 2 people moving together, both chattering, the amount of space that they can cover together is incredible. So if you want to stop more jammers, if you want to move more laterally, then it is important that you are able to do so while talking and while being in a buddy. The best way to do this is, it's a really great kind of warm-up, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later.
But even just warming up your laterals with a buddy, not getting your feet tangled, things like that is really, really important. Okay? And number 6, the final way to elevate your laterals is jammer tracking drills. Okay? One of the best ways to practice tracking a jammer is to practice tracking a jammer. I highly recommend that in your leagues, this is something that, especially as newer skaters, this is something that you should be doing on a very regular basis as part of your warm-up inside of practice. Because it's important that if you want to have great laterals, you should warm up your laterals inside of every practice. And if you want to have great tracking skills with your eyeballs, you need to be practicing at the beginning of practice, practicing using those peripheral visions, right? If you want to be better at communicating, you need to be warming up your communication. When we would do for example, maybe like a line drill where we're like weaving in and out, we're always saying inside, outside, inside, not just to make sure everyone's paying attention, but because we're warming up our ability to communicate. Okay, so you can really practice all of this stuff, practicing your communication, practicing those visual cues, practicing moving with trust when you don't see the jammer. And these little tweaks are going to be the things that take you from being a mediocre blocker to being a super fucking awesome psychic blocker that ruins jammers' lives. Jammers, I'm sorry, I love you also, but I gotta give the love to my blockers out there. So if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and put these in the comments right now. I will give it a couple of minutes. And while I'm waiting for you guys to put questions in the comments, just a heads up, we are in the last days of August. We will be opening up 7 new spots for Crash Course and Transformation members in September. If that is something that you are interested in, you can comment in the chat box with I'm in, or you can shoot me a DM and I can send you over details on how to apply. It looks like we do not have any questions rolling in. So I'm excited. This week as you go into practice, I want to see you guys take this stuff on. So share in the group this week your mission. Go to practice this stuff, and then share in the group. What does it feel like to do psychic blocking? What does it feel like to be the one communicating or to trust the communication of others? What does it feel like to work laterally with a buddy? And if you guys work on this stuff over and over, you're going to become a freaking awesome roller derby player. And we're going to see you as your team's next MVP. So I love you guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.